Well, you drive over them all the time to get where you need to go, but how safe are the bridges that you cross? A White House report estimates that 1 in 4 bridges in our country need significant repairs or can't even handle today's traffic. The president is expected to sign a temporary fix to keep the money flowing to a fund that pays for road and bridge construction and maintenance throughout the country and right here in Maryland.
And Jamie, earlier this summer, state officials shut down the westbound I-70 bridge over the Patapsco River for emergency repairs. That problem was repaired in a weekend, but tonight we're taking a closer look at Maryland's bridges and the processes inspectors use to ensure that the bridges are safe for drivers.
Basically, what I'm looking at here is to make sure the concrete's still intact.
In his 20-plus year career as an inspector with the Maryland State Highway Administration, Edward Swift has been above and below many of the SHA's 2,500 bridges.
We have a 100% hands-on policy, so we'll touch every part of this beam or every part of this bridge.
And he does.
Here I'm beating through the rust, section loss, make sure there's no holes.
To the untrained eye, Swift says bridges often appear to be in worse shape than they actually are.
Just because it's rusty, it doesn't mean that it's bad. You know, so a lot of people have a tendency to look and say, oh, all that planking there, you know, oh, it's bad, it's in bad shape, but they don't understand that that's for their protection.
Federal law requires bridges to be inspected at least once every 2 years. But this bridge, a portion of the Interstate 695 inner loop over Benson Avenue, is on a yearly cycle. It's one of the 81 bridges maintained by the SHA labeled as structurally deficient. That means the bridge is safe to drive on, but at least one of the bridge's 3 main elements is in poor condition and needs to be replaced.
We have one of the lowest structurally deficient bridge lists in the country at only 4%. The ones that are SD are either in construction, funded for construction, or in active design. So we're way ahead of the ball here.
The 2 most heavily traveled bridges on Maryland's structurally deficient list are in Baltimore County. They each hover around 190,000 cars daily. The inner loop I-695 bridge over Leeds Avenue in Arbutus has deteriorating concrete. It's in the design phase and is scheduled to be repaired later this year. The second is I-695 over Milford Mill Road in Pikesville. It's currently undergoing repairs to its riding surface and concrete supports.
We wouldn't let anybody drive over something with a serious issue. We don't want it to get to that position. That's why it goes on that list, so we can start aligning a design for it and then ultimately funding.
Roughly the other half of the state's nearly 5,300 bridges are inspected and maintained by each county or Baltimore City.
See where we just beefed up the number, just added some additional steel.
Out of that group, Baltimore County has the most.
The biggest thing is probably the logistics. We do have well over nearly 700 bridges. They all need to be inspected.
Overall, 6% of Maryland's bridges are labeled structurally deficient. That figure puts it among the 10 states with the lowest percentages of structurally deficient bridges. Pennsylvania has the highest percentage of bridges in need of repair at 23%.
I think our bridges are in a pretty good condition overall. We do have a very good inspection program. We have a very good maintenance program.
But even with a thorough inspection and maintenance program, problems can arise unexpectedly, like in the case of westbound I-70 over the Patapsco River. Earlier this summer, state officials shut it down for emergency repairs when a painting crew discovered a crack in one of the bridge's beams.
For safety purposes, the overwhelming concern for safety, we shut down and fixed it and then reopened it when we were satisfied it was safe.
It's also an example of how one observant person can lead to a major discovery.
We always follow up on any kind of observation that's made, so we've actually found some bridges by citizens voicing a concern over something that we didn't even know was in our inventory.
Another category of bridges are labeled functionally obsolete, and Maryland has nearly 1,100 bridges that fall under this category. Now, these bridges are structurally sound, but they're outdated for current use. For example, the Bay Bridge is considered functionally obsolete because it often has more cars on it than it was originally designed to handle.
Okay, that's that's unbelievable. So overall, the state's doing a pretty good job. What about the counties in our area, though?
Right. In our area, actually, Anne Arundel County has the lowest percentage of structurally deficient bridges. Might be because, you know, it's in Annapolis and right there around all those lawmakers. But on the other hand, Cecil County has one of the highest percentages of these types of bridges.
You know, seeing the gentleman out there inspect, that's a scary job. How do they do that?
Absolutely. Like, definitely not for people who are afraid of heights. But bridge inspectors tell me the scariest parts of the job are actually the drivers that whiz by and don't slow down. And they've actually had their trucks hit by drivers going too fast and not paying attention. So if you see one of these work crews out there, really just be mindful and slow down.
You called the Bay Bridge obsolete. Thank you very much. All right, definitely good advice. If you see anyone along the road, slow down, especially those trucks doing and when the people are up there doing their work out there.